All right, so on today's Coffee with Eric, I wanted to talk a little bit about our investment strategy and how it's evolved over the years. I've been getting a lot of questions about this because it's pretty obvious from our track record that our performance has been improving steadily over the years, and the last few years in particular have been very noteworthy. And let me just take you back to the beginning. I would say that the Lighthaven strategy has evolved, and it's evolved 3 times. In phase 1, starting 10, 15 years ago, when I started investing professionally, we were very true, and we still are very true, to the 20th century value investing purists. Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch, Charlie Munger, Philip Fisher, Benjamin Graham. And the one person in particular that I would highlight is Peter Lynch. I absolutely loved his book, One Up on Wall Street. It was the book that originally got me really fascinated in investing. He popularized a style of investing called growth at a reasonable price, otherwise known as GARP. And to oversimplify, growth at a reasonable price is essentially the intersection between growth and value investing. It is value investing, but only investing in companies that are also growing. We were very successful with growth at a reasonable price. However, 2008 was an eye-opening year for me. It was a year when, during the global financial crisis, the S&P 500 dropped approximately 40%. The Lighthaven strategy similarly didn't do well during that year. I know, and this is something that I've struggled with over the years, that Warren Buffett and Peter Lynch and others advocate that you should basically ignore the market, and that macroeconomics and other factors like that are noise. And I absolutely believe that. I was trained that way. But I'll be honest, 2008 was a bit of a wake-up call. The conclusion I came to after that year was that I wanted to be just as good at shorting stocks as we were going long stocks using our growth at a reasonable price strategy. And initially, it was slow. Made some mistakes. Initially, our program was not very robust, but over time became better at it. The third evolution of the Lighthaven strategy, and we're still in that third evolution now, I've come to believe that paying attention to macroeconomics, geopolitical factors, and other things that in my mind do affect the market, admittedly in the short term, that it is important and that we can improve our returns and further protect the fund if we are taking prudent steps to address those types of situations. And so just like with the second evolution, where we were getting better and better at shorting individual stocks, we did the same thing with what I call the parachute program. And the parachute program involves basically building upon the first 2 evolutions of the Lighthaven strategy and thinking about whether the market is very overvalued, looking at some technicals, and most importantly, thinking about whether geopolitical, macro, and other events could impact the stock market. In 2020, obviously, we used this same strategy to protect the fund from the COVID-19 market crash and actually to improve the returns. The way that I think about Lighthaven strategy is that it's a constantly evolving strategy. I know that some investors and some people who are evaluating us will take comfort in investing with a manager who has a fixed strategy. With Lighthaven, I have a different philosophy, and our philosophy is to build upon the lessons of the 20th century masters, the value investors. We've now successfully overlaid applying that same technology and those mental models to shorting stocks, individual stocks. And now very much we've become adept or competent in hedging the fund from more macroeconomic risks. Over time, I expect that there'll be a 4th and 5th iteration. And this is part of the way that I think that we have to constantly improve. We have to constantly adapt to the current situations. Another thing to note is that we're recording our processes, our thought process, and our mental models in the Lighthaven book. And I'm committed to continuing to do this. So my game plan is to periodically update the book with our latest and greatest thinking so that people can see and have some visibility and transparency into how we're thinking, what things have changed, what works, what hasn't worked, and where we're deviating from our mental models. So anyway, I hope that's interesting to everybody. If you have any thoughts or you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comments below. And I'd love it if you would subscribe, follow, and like this video. Thanks very much.